Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
shooter stand by.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment. Concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection. And it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
So, hey folks, welcome to Eye on the Target Radio. Man, oh man, is it chilly in Ohio. And we have been on the range and teaching stuff and all kinds of stuff.
Yep, no rest for the wicked.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know if we're wicked.
Even if it's 19 degrees out and I ain't got nothing to do, I'm still seems to be, I'm just sitting there deep priming 223 cases till I go cross-eyed.
Well, there is that. I mean, because right now you have reloading supplies,
right? And
the world needs ammo, and so
I'm all set. I just got to get together and make it.
You're just stacking it up for you and me, and that's.
I was thinking ahead and stockpiled my stuff, which I normally try to keep a pretty good stockpile anyhow. And if worst comes to worst, we'll go down to shooting something really weird, like 8.15 by 46 or something, or 41 Swiss. I've got one of those. I've converted it to shoot center fire, and I love that thing. That's the most fun you can have in an old military rifle for a couple $100. And
well, I have a plethora of 22s and 20 gauge. Why? Those. I don't even know that I have a 20 gauge shotgun.
I do.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
come down to it. I got one.
I'm gonna have to borrow your shotgun because I don't.
The 22 is always fun, no matter who you are, how old you are, whatever. I mean, I got a couple old 22 pistols that I've had for years. I got some old single shot 22 rifles that I've always had, and then I got some of the newer stuff like the Ruger Charger. Those are fun to play with.
They are. I've got a Ruger Charger that I need to get some kind of.
Though I get bang 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 bang, and pretty soon I used up all the bullets, and I'm a single shot one at a time out of my pocket. Lasts all day. Then
that's it. So otherwise, don't give you a magazine.
How many licks does it take to get to the center? It's
3. I think that's 3.
It's easy enough. I can do it with a single shot just as easy.
Well,
but if you only got one bullet, you got to make it count instead of thinking, well, I'll get it on the second or the third or the fourth or the fifth
exactly.
or the eighth one or something.
So marksmanship, but that's an interesting point. You can learn marksmanship with any caliber to start with. So you can learn all the fundamentals with whatever ammo you've got, with the least expensive.
When we were kids, Dad took, even if we got a repeater, he took the magazine away from us, so we had to shoot a single shot because that way then the bullets lasted all day instead of just burning them up. And then when I got into muzzle loading, like with my flintlock, it takes you so long to load it that you definitely want to make sure that it's worth your while to hit something.
Right.
So you can get into some of the trick shooting stuff like they do where you're shooting an axe head or something. And
so waiting. Okay. So I can't do trick shooting. I'm just close on that. I can't quite do that. So I want to tell everybody about Rob leading me down the merry path of now I'm in Facebook trouble because Rob the Reloader had looked around at his stuff and the world is trying to reload. Well, and he says I have all this extra.
I buy whole rooms full of stuff, so somebody says I'm done, I'm moving or whatever, and I'll buy all of it, and then I don't need this, I just stack it in the corner, and pretty soon I got 40 reloading machines that I'm not using, and I got the other 24 that I am using, and it's like I might as well sell some of it now. This looks like a good time when everybody's sold out. I might as well get rid of some of this stuff.
Rotate stock, and so we put some on Facebook and reject, and these are like Rock Chucker RCBS machines. So I'm getting advice.
I looked it up to show her what category they were in because everybody's selling them, but she's not allowed to sell them.
I'm not allowed. So Rob's gotten me in Facebook trouble, and Facebook doesn't doesn't really give me grief, but now I'm probably going to be on their radar.
I'm in the acquisition part. I'm not in the disposition part. That's why I just stack it in the corner, because there's always a problem when you're trying to get rid of it. Either you can't get together with the other guy's schedule, or they come in and try to beat you down to nothing or something, and it's like, it's just easy to keep it.
Just make a pile. Just make a pile. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get enough advice as to how to go about this, is to get it back posted. But so I personally am in Facebook jail, or Facebook trouble, or Facebook.
And I'm getting right back to that. Not for sale. I'll just sit on it.
So so this week we taught a concealed carry class in the 19-degree weather. Concealed carry, 19 degrees.
See, not everybody it gets attacked when it's nice and summery out. You never know when it's going to happen.
And you need to be prepared. There is some of that, but man, oh man, it's in our state. There are minimum requirements for the amount of time that you need to be on the range, and we have a policy that says if you're on the range, you're not just spectating, you are participating. And so you're putting your hammer and bullets down range, and you're learning something. And so for a couple hours, they're holding on to, when they talk about it as we
show them some point shooting, some weekend shooting, a lot of the stuff that you don't normally get to do, and then we show you where you suck at it, and hopefully you'll go practice some. I mean, there's nothing in the couple hours that we have you on the range. There's nothing that we can show you that's going to really make your day. It's just to show you that I need some more additional help in this area and that area,
right,
and stuff like this.
I mean, because that's the goal. Is that if
we do some point shooting stuff, and I mean, I've been doing it for years, so it's like they'll say, "There's no way you can hit that," and I'll just pull my pistol out, boom, shoot,
boom, and there you go. But we want to teach you skills that, if push comes to shove, those skills help you survive an encounter. And so it is not just take a concealed carry class, feel good about the fact that you can hit a bullseye all nice and neat off at a distance.
And a lot of people never tried using their offhand to shoot. So, I mean, your strong hand is your strong hand for a reason. So you may be using that to either fight somebody off, to carry something, to drag something, to try to open or close a door or do something. So your weak hand can be employed to run the gun for a while. So just need to practice so that it knows what it's doing.
Right. Or your weak hand or your strong hand was hurt because you've been fighting someone off.
Have you ever played paintball? For some reason, you stick the paintball around the gun around the corner and they shoot you in the hand first thing. So I would imagine that regular gunfighting the same way.
Same way. It's like, okay, that one. I need some help.
That's
right?
gonna hurt.
That's gonna hurt. But yeah, so getting prepared for those types of things. But it's really interesting to watch right now in the concealed carry world, the people who are coming out of the woodwork that are saying, I either want a concealed carry license because I'm fearful, or I want a concealed carry license because I think the government is going to take it away, and so I want one before they stop issuing them.
They're still fearful. They just got a different fearful point they're going at. So it's a kind of thing is, either the bad guy's going to do something or the government's going to do something. I want to be prepared either direction,
one way or another, so that you're prepared for whatever is happening. But it's really interesting when you ask people why they're coming to take the class, what is their concern, and then what are their basic questions of where are they, what are they questioning, why are they in this class, why did they? Because here in Ohio, and I'm sure that it is like this in a lot of other states. I mean, we've had concealed carry now for, 16 years? So 16 years, and these people are not just coming of age. So, and some of them are not just coming together to be a gun owner. They've had guns their entire life.
Right. Well, some of them for a long time they didn't want to get their name on a list or something. They realized that their name's already been on a list now. Some are thinking that just that the news is bad enough every day that I may need to have a gun in my pocket
as opposed to just at home. And the other interesting thing that is a big conversation, and I am so grateful that it is how do I storage? How do I store the gun because I've got kids or I've got grandkids or I've got people in and out of my house? And so I really appreciate the fact that the conversation will go there and in depth as to what that means and how do they do it and where can they do it and how can they hide it or how can they secure it and how fast can they get in it yet someone else can't. And that says that they are taking their firearms ownership responsibility, and they're taking that seriously, because you're responsible for wherever your gun goes and whatever your gun does. And you sure don't want to have an incident or have someone hurt with your gun because you were not careful about how you stored it or how you set it down or where you set it down or where you left it or whatever that is. And so it's always a good thought process to think about guns and gun safety together. We'll be back.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
George Geller, this section is specifically for you. It's Rob's History Ramble.
What do you mean ramble?
Well, that's it. So we're going to talk about the history of building your own muzzleloader.
We talk about the ghost guns and all this stuff, but I mean, your great-grandfather, they didn't have a gun shop. You didn't just go to the gun shop and buy. You might have went to the blacksmith and bought a lock, but the rest of the stuff you built yourself.
And when you say a lock, it's not a lock. It's not.
It's the hammer portion of the gun. So when they talk about lock, stock, and barrel, stock you carved yourself. The barrel you could make yourself, or you could get that from the blacksmith also. Some of them were rifled, some of them were not. Remington actually started out as a barrel maker. He didn't make real guns. He just made barrels, and then it got to where he was making enough money at that he decided to get more into it. He started making more parts, and then he eventually started making whole guns. But you can build one completely from scratch, and there's books out there that show you how to do it. Especially if you're one of these knife guys who got you built a forge in the backyard. Now you can forge all your own parts and go right through.
That's a challenge to forge your own parts.
And the thing is, we look at it today as like cap lock, flintlock, and modern guns. But I mean, in the old days, before the cap lock and the flintlock, they had one that just used a piece of rope that was, they called it punk, and you blow on it to keep it lit, and then when you wanted to shoot it, you dabbed it into the gunpowder, and away you went. And pretty simple, right?
I got my frayed knot. With a little bit of fire on it.
A little bit of fire on it. You just blow on it every once in a while to keep it lit, and then you just dab it into the gunpowder. Boom. And they had another one.
I would think that would be a little disturbing, and your aim would suffer from the fact that you're
that's
trying
some of the reason why there was steps to try to get it faster. The faster that lock time they call from when you pull the trigger to the actual shot goes off, the less likely you are to do something in the middle of that to make it do bad things.
And the less time that your hands are doing something else.
Right, but they actually went to when you know, like a Zippo lighter where you flick that little wheel and it looks like a file. Mm-hmm. Well, they made one like that. It had a file, and you wound it up, and then when you wanted to pull it to shoot it, you pulled the trigger, and that thing would just freewheel, and the flint would come in against it, and then it would shoot the shower of sparks into the pan. Now,
okay, there you go.
Imagine all that happening while you're trying to hold your.
There you go. Firearms by Zippo. It wasn't probably made by them.
Next shot, you had to wind that back up again, and you were good to go. But nothing says that anything is one better than the other, or these are all still viable ways of making the gun go off, and you could do it yourself. No paperwork. Nobody has to know. You could actually video yourself, and then go out and video yourself shooting your gun, and somebody in Washington's head would explode from just thinking that you could do that without a permit.
Without all that.
There's places online you can buy. Log Cabin Gun Shop here in Ohio. There's in Union City, Tennessee is Dixie Gun Works. Mm-hmm. I believe there's one called Golden Age muzzle loading. There's a lot of them. You can find them easy enough by doing it.
But you can buy a kit.
You can buy kits. You can buy individual pieces, and you can practice.
Okay. If you were a starter, you're somebody who's like, okay, I got a Glock.
If you buy a book, it will show you what you need. Then you can plan your course as to what you want, because there's locks in all different sizes, from really small ones for like pocket pistols and stuff, to really big ones that go on the cannons that almost look like they should bolt out of a barn door or something.
So the little tiny concealed carry ones, Teresa Einacker, we could set her up so she could have a concealed carry flintlock. Is that what you're saying?
Or a cap gun.
Cap gun. Got it.
Or she could superpower her Zippo lighter, where she goes.
Exactly. No, that's kind of interesting though. But if you were going to build one, I mean, build one like your grandfather built or great grandfather built or somewhere there.
I mean, today you got it made because you got Dremel tools and little power saws. Now they had to cut that stuff out with a chisel or a hammer or something, and file it and everything. Now there's so many little power tools you can sit in the basement and do one. I mean, depending on your skill level and that, it would from a couple hours to a couple of weeks to have one that actually shot. If you wanted to look museum quality, you may have 6-8 months in it, but it's a
6-8 months and a whole lot of gaining a skill set.
How artistic are you? I mean, if you're already building guitar, you could build a rifle just as easy without a problem. If you're the kind of guy who could barely open a box of cornflakes, then it's going to take you a little longer.
It's gonna take you a little longer to learn that skill. So So back into the history of it, when your grandfather or great grandfather did it, he would go to the blacksmith, and he would get his lock, his barrel,
each piece or whatever was beyond his skill level. He could buy the piece and either put it together. And you'll see a lot of, like, there was a company called Lancaster, something, and a lot of the old, really period correct ones had these locks on them because that's the guy that he just made locks, and so he would build locks and sell them to other people, and they could get them at trades, like these rendezvous type things and stuff. And then you could build your own rifle at your leisure.
So what's the difference between like a Kentucky rifle and a Pennsylvania rifle?
Well, just the name. Everything that wasn't Pennsylvania was Kentucky at the time.
Okay.
And so most rifles were built in Pennsylvania to go to Kentucky.
Okay.
So they were Pennsylvania rifles that went to Kentucky, and a lot of times you can tell the county by the scroll work in the
how ornate they were.
If they're patch box and that, if it's got open areas and that, they know it's from this county. If it's more ornate, it's here, and so they could kind of see the artwork in the rifle and tell you which area it was built for.
And I think that's pretty interesting. And so the museums that show the Kentucky rifles and the Pennsylvania rifles, and they tell you all of that kind of stuff. So I know that the log cabin has a variety of them hanging on the wall, and they can look at yours and help you understand the history of it, too.
Originally, the Pennsylvania rifle, and that was built to deal with something small, like foxes and squirrels. So when we got to the Mississippi River, and they found out on the other side was giant bears that would eat you, and buffalo that weighed a couple of tons, they realized that their rifle was built for shooting a squirrel, wasn't really set up to handle that type of work.
Right. So then they had to change the caliber. Then they had to work on the rifle, and so you'll see that change, because it's really bad when something wants to eat you, and you don't have a defense. So when we come back, we should have Andrew Pollack, and he is the author of the book Why Meadow Died.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Hey folks, we are back, and this is our interview section of the Eye on the Target Radio show. And so with us tonight, joining us tonight, is Andrew Pollack, and he is the father of Meadow Pollack, who was one of the victims of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2018. And I've asked him to come on because I think that it is critical that you hear from people who have reached out and said, I think that I am going to help be part of the solution. And so he's got a personal mission, which is to motivate and work with school officials and parents and members of law enforcement to demand school technology, school safety technology. And so I wanted to start there, and then there's some other stuff that I want to toss out. But Andrew Pollack, thanks so much for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's my pleasure to be able to, get on here tonight and tell parents what's going on school safety and law enforcement. Well, what I've been working on since my daughter was murdered in 2018.
So start to fill us in. I mean, because there's so many people who automatically assume that if something horrific happens, that they're going to try to force you into a bucket that says that you are anti-gun, and that's the solution to everything.
Well, that's what hijacked that the whole thing. What happened in Parkland when my daughter got murdered? The mainstream media started attacking the Second Amendment. Those kids got famous attacking the Second Amendment. They accomplished nothing, those kids, but registered more Democrats. And I took a step back. I didn't take that path that the whole bandwagon went on. Is let's just go attack the Second Amendment and that's it. I actually wanted to look at the facts, what happened before I said anything. I wanted to look into, well, what could have happened? How did I let my daughter go to this public school in this great community, and I'll never see her again? She got shot 9 times, my daughter, on the 3rd floor. And I took a step back, and I did my own investigation. I wrote a book. Parents want to read it about the failures and what happened with my daughter. It's called Why Meadow Died. It's on Amazon. I urge every parent, grandparent, aunt, and uncle that you're thinking of sending your child to a public school, you should read this book first. So after this happened, I did that book, and I moved on since I wrote the book. The book explains the policies that were in these schools that allowed the murderer to be able to purchase a rifle and never get arrested. Okay, there was policies, leftist policies that were pioneered in Florida, in Broward County. So that was one thing I did for parents. I wrote that book, but my main focus now is supporting law enforcement with the latest technology. So there were so many failures that day in law enforcement. With everybody heard the deputies that didn't go in the building, they hid behind cars, they hid behind walls, never went in. Communication breakdown that day. And those people were cowards. I don't hold every law enforcement personnel responsible for those failed deputies. So I wanted to make law enforcement more efficient on their response time. And I teamed up with a technology company. And over the last 2 years, we dissected what we could do to speed up the process so we could save lives in an active shooter or any 911 situation.
Okay.
So what we came up with is, most police departments, sheriff's office have real-time crime centers. So we came out with this technology that enables any police department that has that to link to the school within 5 seconds of any emergency. So their cameras goes live within 5 seconds, and it doesn't matter. What's unique about my software is we don't need to sell any hardware. So you could have any type of camera system, and we could connect you to the police with my software within, like I said, 5 seconds. And what's unique about us also is, if you're thinking about, when you see a real-time crime center, you see a big monitor, and then they would see, like, say there's 50 cameras at the school. The 50 cameras come on the one monitor, and it's hard for the dispatcher to know exactly where that camera is in the building. It's impossible. So we interfaced it with another monitor that when you put your mouse on that one camera, it blinks on the mapping system on the other monitor, and it could pinpoint the exact location in a building to send the first responder. So right there, we've done so many tests, it could save minutes off of a response time if they go down the wrong hallway. If you're in law enforcement and you've been in a shooting situation in a building, with the echo, it's hard to locate exactly where it's coming from. So we put that together with the mapping. We also give dispatch the ability to unlock doors from the real-time crime center. If there's any door locking mechanisms, they can open it and send the police right in at any time. We took the PA system. So we attached simply the PA system into the school. So if there's a shooter, they could talk to the shooter, they could say they're on scene, and most of the time they'll either surrender or they'll kill themselves. But they could be like a sergeant or lieutenant inside the real-time crime center could be seeing, or they could be giving directions to anyone inside the building where to go, stay in place, take cover. That we're on our way, in that
where
situation.
That is. So let's roll that for a second, because really that one piece of information where you say that someone sitting at the center can actually interact with or communicate with someone in the school or with the shooter in the school, because most of the time, as soon as the first person pushes back against someone who is an active killer, that active killer gives up. Or
correct,
or
FBI done
self-terminate something. Yeah,
correct. So that's really another feature that we did, because what happened to my daughter. My daughter was very unlucky that day. Her teacher had a very low IQ. My daughter was on the 3rd floor, so 90 rounds went off. 90 rounds go off in the building, and if anyone shot an AR, it's pretty deafening. It's a loud round. So 90 rounds go off, and then by all those shots, it set the fire alarm off inside the building. Okay, so my daughter's teacher thought it would be a good idea to send her out into the hallway that day with all those shots going off, because she heard the fire alarm. So we give the ability in dispatch, so when they're looking and they see what's going on, gives them the ability to silence the fire alarm from dispatch at the police department, which is amazing, because a lot of people don't realize this. When they're in a building, 2 things could happen. A shooter will pull a fire alarm so the targets come out, or what happened to my daughter, when you shoot, a lot of smoke comes out of the gun and it set off the fire alarm. So we give them the ability to silence it, which is pretty cool. I put that in. It took a long time to do all this research. We also will have GPS tracking. So for friendly fire, the police department will see exactly where their officers are with our software. It'll pull up. And we'll keep adding to it. It's pretty amazing. We also could live stream. You give the ability for them to live stream from their cell phone right back to the command center. So they know what's going on. Because for our listeners, most of the time, the things that happen is that they just lock down a school, and whoever's inside the school are on their own, and whoever's outside the school stay outside until there's enough of them or whatever. And so it's a struggle. And then you add to it that once somebody's wounded, it takes so long before they actually get to, they'll let a first responder in to provide first aid. Yeah, what my software would eliminate all that, what you're talking about. It took them 40 minutes to reach my daughter on the 3rd floor. They were actually, another thing I didn't mention was when my daughter was murdered, when they went into the school where the cameras were, it was rewound. The cameras were rewound, and they were looking at something that was 40 minutes old. They didn't realize it was rewound. So my software, when they're in dispatch, they don't have the ability to rewind this. They can't rewind. It's always real time. And, so lately I've been focusing, because there's a lot of, it's not limited. We give this away to, if any of your listeners, we give it to law enforcement for free. This technology. So if anyone's listening, it's schoolsafetygrant.org. Schoolsafetygrant.org. Go on, fill out my grant, and we raised over $20 million to be able to get this to law enforcement. Yep.
Okay. I need you to hang on. We're going to go to our commercial break. We'll be back, and when we come back, we're going to talk about schoolsafetygrant.org. We're going to talk about you being involved with crimeresearch.org and kind of where you're going now and how we can all participate and assist. So, Andrew Pollack, thanks so much for being on Eye on the Target. We'll be back.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Okay, we are back, and we are back with Andrew Pollack, who is the book author of Why Meadow Died, the people and policy that created the Parkland shooter and endangered America's students. And he really has taken to heart the endangered America's students and decided that there is something that he can do to solve that. And so he and some generous donors, and we're going to get to a spot where we can tell you how you can also be one of those generous donors to help out, or that you can help get your police department or school involved in this and understand the pieces of why. But he decided that you're either part of the problem or part of the solution, and he has jumped in with both feet to be part of the solution. So Andrew, the schoolsafetygrant.org, if in a state or in a county, is it started to be led by the school or by the county police? Who's kind of the start?
The start Well, the school could pressure the police department, but we're giving it away to the police and the sheriff's department. We've been all over the country. We got hit like with COVID. We started just when COVID started, so I took a little bit of a back seat because I couldn't go, and really there was a pandemic going on. So, but now it's time to really focus on helping the police. There's so much rhetoric out there of defund the police. So and it's not limited to schools. So it's any entity that has cameras. So right now I'm working with the Marriott hotels. So the hotel could have, and also I didn't even tell you, we have what's called geofencing apps that go on your phone. So when you're in a location, you'll have an app on your phone. If you hit the app, it'll go right to the police station. So it could be where they have any public gatherings, a mall. The grants are available for a mall, a big restaurant with a lot of cameras, hotels, banks, anywhere there's cameras that there's the public at. We could connect to the police within 5 seconds. So, and it doesn't matter, like I said, what camera service you have, and it's pretty amazing because the police will know what's going on before the caller's even hanging up from calling 911 or hitting the app. There's so many places, the Walmart where there was a shooting, we didn't even push these big box stores yet, but the first step is the police departments. That's why it's so good if they could just go on, fill my grant out, and we raised $20 million to be able to support this throughout the country.
Okay. So is $20 million enough, or do we need to put out a call to say that if everybody that's listening sent another $10, they could help support more police stations?
Well, we're not really raising money like that. The way we raise money is, so we're able to give it to law enforcement for free, but we're going to use up the $20 million. Okay. There is a small, say you have a hotel, there's a small fee that we charge, a connection fee, and that enables us to keep the program going where we never have to charge law enforcement ever. We train the law enforcement, and we update them all the time. We're always looking to improve, the body cameras, the GPS tracking. We're always improving it. So there's a small connection fee if you even a big car dealership or big bars and restaurants, concerts. Anywhere they want to be connected to law enforcement, we're able to do it.
Oh, that's amazing, and that is great.
It'd be great if you just talk to your local sheriff or police department and tell them about this. My dog's gonna bark because he sees some homeless guy walking by my car, and he sees them from 5 blocks away. Anyone that doesn't look right. I have a Malinois. He's I don't know if you could hear him. He's growling away.
Not yet, but.
All right, if you hear a bark, the guy's coming closer to my vehicle. I'm actually on my way back to, I bought a motorhome in Florida. I was visiting, and I got a deal on it. I'm actually driving it back now to where I live. I live in Oregon on a ranch.
Okay.
And I pulled over. I'm in New Mexico for the night. And that's it.
Well, we very much appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to join us on the show. And so there's a couple more questions I've got. I know that for a while you were involved, and maybe you still are, but you were involved as the president of crimeresearch.org when Dr. John Lott was called to work in Washington. And that had to have, again, shaken up some of the people who think that they can categorize or slot you in a certain place. And actually using data to make decisions and using facts to make decisions and to get that information out there has just befuddles them.
Right. A quick stat is there's never been a school shooting during the day ever, when school was on, where there's been teachers that are able to go get trained and carry. There's never been a school shooting while school was in session.
So in the schools, so in the schools that have, Ohio is one of the hearts of the Faster Saves Lives programs, where they arm the school teachers and the bus, the lunch lady and the bus drivers and the administrators, whoever is interested. And so so we definitely see that, and we know that Faster has expanded out into Colorado and some other places like that. And I just see this and your technology connecting with the Faster program to really, I mean, because our children are our most precious resource. They're absolutely the nation's most precious resource. And I don't think that we give enough thought to their safety, because they just do this general simple, well, we're just gonna make all bad people stay out, right? How do you do that?
You're just gonna ban guns and there'll never be another shooting. You know that a lot of people don't know this because the left hijacked what happened to my daughter. Uber went to the murderer's house. He called an Uber. He got picked up by Uber with a Cabela's rifle bag. Okay, he walked out of his house with a Cabela's rifle bag, where the driver drove him to the school with a rifle bag, where he just walked in to the school through a gate that should have been locked but wasn't locked, and he was able to walk in there. And then one monitor hid in the closet. Another monitor didn't want to call a code red. He didn't want to be the guy because he only saw the gun bag. He didn't hear any shots, so he didn't call a code red. And then you got another deputy at the school who went to the door, heard the shots, and retreated and hid behind a wall while he let my daughter and a bunch of other people get murdered. You don't hear those things because the left controls mainstream media, and they control what you see most of the time.
Yeah, and you're right, and you don't get to hear that, and you don't get to hear how long it takes a first responder to be able to get into the schools. And the fact that as soon as there is somebody that aggressively pushes back in some manner, then it stops the event, and so it stops the murderer.
We looked at all the failures that happened that led to my daughter getting murdered, and we put it in this technology. And there's nothing more. If anyone, when your listeners are listening, contact your local department or anyone you know. Have them. They could fill out this grant. We could get them this technology, and we could make them efficient. We've run tests. It shaves minutes. It shaves minutes off of response time. So it's pretty amazing, and it's not anywhere in the United States we can install it. And I left out churches and temples, places of worship where there's soft targets. We could connect law enforcement to that too.
Well, and it makes so much sense. So, folks, what we want you to do is if you've got somebody that works in the police department, reach out. Schoolsafetygrant.org is the website. And so you can check out the information, you can see and you can help broker and you can help promote this safety aspect to be in your community, because who wouldn't want it? Andrew Pollack, thank you so much for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio. We very much appreciate it. And feel free anytime you've got more information to reach out, and we will gladly have you on the air. So, folks, if you want to check out his book, Why Meadow Died, The People and Policies That Created the Parkland Shooter and Endangered America's Students, it's on Amazon.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
shooter stand by.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, we are back, and I want to share this press release that came from the FBI because it cracked me up. And it starts out with the fact that the FBI is telling people, it says, be advised, the FBI does not call or email threats or demand money as part of any investigation. Really? You have to send a press release that says this?
I think some of the loss of credibility over the last couple of years from the FBI leads people to believe that they would take anything. I mean, you get whatever there was a couple of years ago, there was a group that said they were the IRS and they would lock your computer up, and then you had to go to Kmart and get some kind of gift cards to pay them to give. The IRS does not take Kmart gift cards.
Kmart, Walmart, they do not take gift cards. They do not take the Cheesecake Factory either. But yeah, so the FBI Jacksonville division has received notices that scammers are posing as representatives of the FBI to target residents and to steal their personal information. The one of these you've got to hear because it's really kind of slick. And you've got to be on the mark about this. The victim reports that they received a call from an individual who claimed to be a representative of the FBI who was investigating a confiscated shipment of illegal materials. The caller then claimed to have an immediate need for personal information. So there's that one. Okay, and that's the kind of the standard thing. But the other one is the scammer calls the person and starts to ask them for information and you decline. You're like, I'm not telling you any of this. I'm not telling you any of that stuff. Go away. Get off here. Get out of here. And so you hang up. And then a little while later, the FBI calls you and says,
that guy called you. They're following up on this.
Yeah, we're following up on the scammer. So we need some information. What was the scammer trying to get? What information? And
so
then
they're asking you the same questions.
Right. And now you help them because they're going after the bad scammer. Well, except it's only the scammer's mama. I mean, so it's scammer number one and scammer number two.
It was pretty good thinking on their part to get that. I mean, how many people would fall for something like that?
The second one, when you get two different phone calls because you're so proud of the first one. Yeah. So, okay. So just know that let's go back to the original statement. The FBI does not call or email threats, right? Though we're not sure we believe that. Nor do they demand money as any part of an investigation. And if you get a call like that, call the real FBI, look them up, use the Google, and find the real FBI, not the pretend FBI, and reach out to them and say, hey.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I had somebody ask me about one of the 2A groups, and they were asking how do they make sure they get a hold of the real one instead of some scamming one, and I'm like, I had not thought about somebody.
Oh no, there's a lot of them that there are gun owners for common sense gun.
Right, I mean, but they're not trying to say that they are, say, the NRA or SAF or something like this. They're just a gun group that's gathering up money to help with some. So they're their own thing, but they're not trying to double up as being something else.
Yeah, they're not trying to present a face to say that they're SAF. Right. So yeah, but it's kind of interesting. This world that we live in right now, you've got to be on the mark on pretty much everything that's happening because they are out to get you. That's all there is to.
We always got different stories about different things.
Right.
Here's a Arkansas school district that's going to give you some points towards your graduation grades if you take a hunter safety course and stuff.
Well, that's pretty interesting. So there's state senators from Arkansas who are proposing this bill, and it's fresh right now, happening in Arkansas, and allows students to receive school credit for participating in hunter education and firearms safety courses.
You know, when I took hunter education, there was some first aid in there and stuff. So, I mean, even if you're not planning on hunting, there's stuff in there that would be of value to the general population.
Well, I think that the hunter education, I think it's one of the best kept secrets that people don't know quite how to. If they're interested in hunter ed, where do they go and how do they get to it? And most of them are their state's Department of Natural Resources.
Right. If you get a hold of them, they can tell you where the next classes are going to be, or at least get you on our list of to be notified when there is.
To tell you where to look or tell you how to get in queue for it. So that's pretty cool. Because if you're interested in being a hunter somewhere, anywhere, then take a hunter's ed course in your state, and then it carries over.
Even if you're planning on going a kind of horse hunt out in the Rocky Mountains or something like this, you have to take a hunter safety course, and they'll accept the one that's from your local state as the course. You don't have to take their course.
That's good, because at some point I'm gonna go out rock climbing, hunting something, right? You think?
I doubt it.
Well, I'm going to think about it. Well, that's
crawl up the side of a mountain and try to shoot one of those goats or something that's at the 5,000-foot mark.
No, I'm either going to shoot a goat. I'm either going to shoot a goat or climb a mountain, but I'm probably not going to be able to do both. I'm just saying.
So anyhow, here's an article on 3 things they don't teach you in your concealed carry course, and it's funny because the first one, it says carrying a gun makes you paranoid. It's not that. It's always that. What your wife says, does these pants make my butt look big? It's everybody's sure that this gun is like flashing lights saying, right, I got a gun.
Well, and I think this was an article that is on the website, The Truth About Guns. And so we try to tell you kind of where we got them, because we go to a wide variety of different places to see what's out there and what's current and to start or spark a conversation. But carrying a gun makes you extremely hyper aware of the gun for a while. And when you're hyper aware of the gun, you're hyper aware that you perceive that everyone else is hyper aware of the gun.
And the fact that when you're hyper aware of it, it's good, because now you're hyper aware of if it isn't there or something. Mm-hmm. Where after a while you'll hear stories like where they the TSA left their gun in the bathroom or something like this.
Right.
After you've had it for a while, and you start to show contempt for the fact that you maybe don't have it, or you do have it, or whatever.
And then you had it, and now you don't have it. Well,
it's like, where did it go missing?
We were teaching a class yesterday, and they said, where do I put my gun if I need to take my gun off? And one of the people said, well, if you're in the bathroom, that you would just set it on the floor. And it's like, well, one, if you have a good quality holster, it'll stay in its holster and it doesn't get out. So it doesn't need to be going out on its own little field trip somewhere. And imagine walking into a public restroom and there's 2 feet and a gun, right? It's somewhat disconcerting.
Well, and then too, look, it's the floor in the public restroom. Right. Do you want your stuff on the floor?
Then you're going to pick it up
on the floor.
And then you're going to pick it up and you're going to shove it in your pants.
Right. I keep mine in my pants, and mine has a clip that clips it to the pants, so it doesn't get away. And and some of the other, if you have the summer comfort style where it hooks onto your belt, it's not going anywhere.
It doesn't. So I taught a class all day yesterday, and then somebody asked me a question, and then I showed them my gun, and they were like, I didn't think you had one. I couldn't tell. And it's like, how would you, or why would you?
I have a gun I sit on all the time, and then I have another gun that I carry in a bag, because I have a bag that, I guess it'd be a man purse.
Your purse.
Whatever stuff I might need that day. So my electric tester, my my some recording equipment, a sandwich, whatever's in there, along with my secondary gun. And so sometimes I have two guns, and sometimes I have one gun, whether it's in my bag or it's in my pocket. It's whichever's going on.
Whatever's happening. So I think it's called the possible bag.
So it's I just have a bag, and it's just an old GI tool bag that I carry around with me. And
there's stuff in it. There's stuff in the bag and a sandwich. There's always a sandwich in the bag. The good news is he eats enough sandwiches. It's not an old green sandwich in the bag. So this article written by Robert Farrago says the truth about guns. So check it out because it's really a pretty good article. And when we come back, we'll have more news because he talks about carrying guns changes your personality. We'll see. Does it change it for the better? He says it's for the better. I think it makes you more polite, not less polite.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back, and you know that Car Arms is the title sponsor for our show. So go to car.com and check out the firearms that they have to offer. They carry Car Arms, Tommy Gun, Magnum Research. There is something for everyone there. And did you see that jazzy new commercial that we're running on the top of the hour?
With the Tiger Stripe Desert Eagle?
Yes.
Who doesn't need one of those?
Oh, it is so
Maybe
pretty.
two. You got two hands, don't you?
It is just so pretty. I really like their silver tiger stripe.
And the gold tiger stripe too.
The silver is more my thing. Silver's more my thing. So, okay. So let's go back to The Truth About Guns article about the 3 things you aren't taught in your concealed carry course. I have to say that bullet point number 2 really is something that I teach, and that is that when you carry a gun, instead of it making you a bigger macho somebody, it makes you more polite, not less polite. And it should make you more polite, not less polite. You can back up yourself if you need to, but you know that the best thing to do is the best way to win a confrontation is to avoid that confrontation. As you say, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So just get out of Dodge, right?
No shame in running.
None at all. So Dave Rosenthal is making a comment here, and it's pretty small, and I'm not sure that I can read it all. But it looks like
years ago, he was doing a holster demo at a woman's shooting group, and he was showing them how you could carry a couple guns without printing. And he had two 1911 pistols and a 380 Colt 1911 Mustang, and nobody knew he had the pistols on him until he drew the pistols. And there was NRA training counselors and instructors and an FBI agent. No one spotted any of the 3 guns, and he had spare magazines as well.
Too. I'm telling you, we do not look at people to see if they're concealing or hiding something. We really don't.
We're all carrying so much stuff. It's like I got my Batarang and my cell phone. And
I got that extra 19 COVID pounds. So that COVID-19 is pounds for me, I'm just going to say. And so you just don't notice. And because you don't notice, the quantity of people who are carrying concealed, the number is huge. And you don't notice.
The general public isn't very noticeable anyhow, so a lot of people don't pay attention. They barely pay attention. I mean, they give the husband a hard time because they painted the house 3 weeks ago and he didn't recognize that anything was different, or that they got a new dog and nobody bothered to tell him or something.
I think you kind of noticed those things, but
no, not necessarily.
Every woman feels like there's a day where they have a bad hair day and they're like, I can't go out of the house because my hair looks so bad. Everybody's going to notice. No, they're not. You have hair. It's on your head.
And you come home from work and the wife's like, the sleeve's ripped halfway off that shirt. I'm like, well, I didn't notice when I put it on.
I didn't notice. Did you have a rough day today? Or, right. There is all of that. So if you don't notice it, then nobody ever is going to say anything. They're not going to tell you nothing. It's just, you are hypersensitive to things that no one else is. And that is the beauty of concealed carry. And so you could stand and you put your gun on and you look and say, am I printing? Am I printing? Am I printing? Even if you're printing a little bit, nobody's ever going to really notice. Nobody's going to say anything.
Maybe they just think you have a wart that looks like a 1911.
Right. Someone just recently was telling a story about the fact that I'm not going to say, I know who now. I'm not going to say who, that they actually their gun in their retention holster got clipped on something, and their gun fell out of its holster. And so somebody was like, "Excuse me, it's laying on the floor over here. You probably want that." Right, but it was a big deal. It could have been a real big deal, but it's not a big deal.
I know a police officer that years ago they wore the Barney Fife type holster where it flopped down on.
Yeah.
And when he got out of the car, somehow his pistol had dumped out in the car, and he got to the crime scene, and he didn't have a gun. Luckily, he didn't need one at that time. But here it fell out on the seat, and he didn't notice it until he got
right
a couple hundred yards away from it.
Yeah, all of that. But you're carrying all this gear. Do you notice? But a gun has a little bit of weight, and so there should be some difference that I've got part of it, but I don't have all of it. But the reason that I pulled this article from The Truth About Guns is that carrying a gun is addictive. I mean, it really is. Once you consciously make the decision that you're going to carry a gun, then carry it every day, and you'll once you start to carry it, it will become a habit.
A lot of it's like a wristwatch. At first, it's in your way, but then after a while, you feel funny when you don't have it, and so it's maybe all of a sudden my pants are too big if I don't have my gun for some reason. So, so you see me and I'm pulling my pants up all the time, I don't have my guns because
they took your gun.
My gun walked off. My pants walk off.
There you go. And that's not a pretty sight. It's all that. But you will just get in the habit. But the critical portion of carrying concealed is making sure that you've got really good gear so that your gun stays put. Your gun doesn't fall out.
So comfortable in the fact that you have it. If you need it, do you remember you had it, or do you go through a couple of other things before you get to the point where I have a gun. I gotta have a gun.
So I think that's part of the training thing. That's that. What do you do? How do you train? What are the options available to you so that you're set?
And you want to start out soft by punching, kicking, and shooting them with some pepper spray and stuff before you use the gun. Anyhow,
it's the tool of last resort.
So if you remember it midway through the conversation.
But it really is a tool of last resort. You're going to be a completely different person if you were forced to use your gun in self-defense. And I say forced. If you were forced to use your gun in self-defense because you have no other option.
Right, so you use your loud, boisterous voice at first. That doesn't work. Then
you
maybe
use your claws, you use your teeth, and all of that.
Knuckles and your pepper spray, and then
that biting class, that professional biting class that you took, all of those skills will hold you in good stead. And then if you have to, you can get to the firearm. But it shouldn't be the first choice. It should be the last choice. But it should be a choice that is your choice. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.IamTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.IamTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your songs and stories for soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
So, hey, folks, we have another guest on the show. So, typically we don't have two, but this is an interesting topic, and so we decided to invite Jack Zhou onto the show. Jack is from a company called Aegiscan International, and in this day and age where we cannot get enough reloading supplies, and we know that we're getting pushback from every different direction about shooting and guns and lead and the environment and all of that, that Jack and his company Aegiscan has tungsten and bismuth shot. And I wanted to explore what that means and educate our folks so that you guys too understand what is out there and what is being offered. So hey Jack, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Armando, how are you doing?
We're doing just fine. Just fine. So you manufacture tungsten and bismuth shot. You make the pellets, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with, tell us how the shot is manufactured, and then we'll kind of roll into, I'll reach out to Rob here and see if that, as you talk about it, if that's different from lead, and then we'll just kind of start our comparison from there. Okay?
Okay, sure. So tungsten actually is the heaviest metal, could be the finest metal. The reason I'm calling it is tungsten is the highest melting point, and the manufacturing from very fine, high purity metal powder. So typically, this is alloy. This is mixed with tungsten, nickel, and arrow powder. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a powdered material that is then made into shot. So it's a pressed powdered material.
Yeah, that's right. So we have actually 8 procedure. So say first one is powder mixing, then we aid in the waxing, then go to the metal injection molding to forming the bowl shape. Then we go when we take out this metal injection machine, so then we have to de-waxing it to remove this impurity. Then we send into the sintering furnaces to increase more than 1,000 Celsius degree to achieve this physical property. So in the molecular level, they will be to get the right density and the hardness, etc. Right? Yeah. Okay,
so it starts as a powder, then the powder is mixed into a material, then it's molded, and then it's baked, and so that baking hardens it up, and it actually shrinks some too, doesn't it, when you're baking it?
Yeah, correct. They have about for the volume level, they have a shrink about 50%, but inside they actually only 20%. So so after that we have to get the right, because in the molding, the metal injection process, we almost get the right size, right? So once you take out from the furnace, you just need to remove the belt and make it shining and uniformly in diameter.
Okay, and so when you say remove the belt, that means that's where the two sides of the mold came together, and so it's got a little bit of flashing and stuff, right?
That's right.
Okay, so that's neat. So how do you, in that last process, how do you do it? Kind of rolling it between something, or tumbling it with itself, or how do you get them all round?
Well, round we have a grinding machine. So after you take off from the furnace, we need to put in the grinding machine for more than say 4 or 5 hours to get the right in the shining and let's say the roughness is about the RA 3.2, right? So the right size, everything will be achieved at that moment.
Wow, that sounds like it is so much work to make something that you just shoot out the end of your barrel.
Well, a couple of years ago, one of the companies were showing the shot at the shot show, and it had the little belt around it, looked like a little flying saucer type thing, and they were saying that it made it fly better, but it was just it seemed like they just skipped that grinding section of it. I wonder.
Yeah, that's right, because it's a raw. So actually, with the bat, we usually use that for some say the counterbalance weight purpose. But if you use it for hunting pilot purpose, they have to remove that belt. Otherwise, you cannot use it. And
it just doesn't fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. It's fly properly, what we can say.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So now tungsten is harder than the bismuth. So you make both tungsten and bismuth, but tungsten is harder than the bismuth, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So tungsten is with what we produce, the density is up to 18.3 grams cc. So which is almost twice of the bismuth density, right? So compared to lead at the 10.6, so it's 60% denser than lead, basically.
Okay, so it's that much heavier. So the density to everybody else, it's that much heavier. So when you talk about how much shot you've got by weight, it changes the amount of volume that you've got, but it also changes the amount that it flies because it's
right. The heavier it is, the more range you're going to have.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So do you do anything with research on tungsten and the barrels? I mean, because we hear so much stuff where different people have different opinions. Oh, don't shoot anything but lead. And I know that bismuth is somewhere comparable to lead.
Right, well, old guns, they always tell you that the steel shot and stuff like that will eventually hammer the chokes out and gouge up the inside of the barrel, where the newer guns are built for that kind of stuff.
Are tougher and can take it. Interesting. So how is that? So are people using your product to then use it to promote hunting yet be environmentally friendly? So are they exploring it and sharing it as a green alternative? Or are they still just at the whole thing, the greenies are still like guns are bad?
Well, it definitely provides very good alternatives to lead because traditionally when we talk about the non-toxic material, we always say steel and bismuth, but those two are less denser than lead, right? Now we come up with this tungsten, which all of a sudden increase the density up to 18.3, so which give more power when we shoot the, let's say, long range these animals, the games. So that's really a good, much better alternative compared to lead. So in the long
so what's
run,
the density? I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's the density of lead itself?
Lead is about 10.6.
Oh, okay. So 10.6 is the lead. Oh, so bismuth so tungsten is that much more dense than lead. I wrote it as the bismuth.
Is there any
interesting?
Is there any work on this for like high-powered rifle bullets or anything like this, where maybe a tungsten core and a softer jacket on it or something? Or
yeah, the tungsten. Well, actually, before we introduced to the hunting ammo area, we actually sell to the defense company, right? So they use as a tungsten penetrator to in the battlefield. So that's even more lesser and more, have a more energy power there.
Well, and with the powdered metal technology, you can make the mold into any configuration, and so it's just the secondary processing that then changes what you have to do, because you can't just tumble it or grind it. You actually have to then do something. But that is pretty darn amazing. So how long have you guys, as your company, been manufacturing it like this, and how well received is it in the general industry?
Well, we actually start manufacturing tungsten products, the alloy product, since 2003. So in the past, we manufacturing the tungsten for medical, for nuclear industry, as a counterbalance way, also for defense, as I said. But since 2016, we actually start to introduce to the major tungsten cartridge ammunition manufacturing in the United States, right? Let's say those two big names. So we don't need to mention that, but they start to take us as a certified vendor to supply them every year is more than 100 tons now.
Okay, so now if a hunter's looking for it, they can just ask for it. So I'm coming up to a hard commercial break, so I'm going to have to go. Thank you so much, Jack, for joining us. Jack Zhou from Aegiscan International. Folks, look for bismuth, look for tungsten, and look what it's doing to change the industry, because you can be an environmental greenie and still be a hunter, because we all know that hunters are environmentalists. So, Aegiscan International, Jack Zhou, thank you.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, I want to fill you guys in on the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And the gun manufacturers call it the PLCAA. And it was a law, is a law that was originally passed in the 109th Congress in 2005. And it's designed to protect. So the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act is designed to protect manufacturers and dealers from being held liable when they did everything right, when the gun works the way it's intended to work. It's not a manufacturing flaw, not a manufacturing defect. The gun dealers sold the gun, didn't violate any laws when they did it, so that they should have the protection they followed the law and did everything. And so what's happening right now is that they are starting to push back to revoke and remove the PLCAA protection from firearms and firearms manufacturers. We're seeing the first push on that with Bushmaster, because Bushmaster is being sued for Sandy Hook and for the unlawful use of their firearm.
Well, they sued Remington completely out of business. So all of it was sold off, and the new improved Remington will be coming out soon. Mm-hmm. I know that I think Marlin was bought by Ruger. There was a couple other groups that
they splintered it into different places. So somebody got the ammo arm, somebody got the handgun, somebody got the long guns. It just got
some
blown
of it
away.
with the way that there was a group that owned the thing. So it wasn't a gun company. It was a banking
holding
group.
company. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the quality of product that they had been manufacturing for all parties had been substandard.
Well, a lot of what happens when you are a company that is held by a holding company, the holding company's function is to squeeze every last dollar out of the company.
Right. Well, so some of this move by them splintering it is going to be a good move for the companies themselves.
The patents are going to go places. Research and development's going to happen.
Right. They'll spend some money on this stuff and get it out better than ever. And so.
Right. So it really didn't help.
Yeah. Save your money, folks. There'll be new, better stuff coming out.
Right. I mean, so it wasn't, if you own stock in that company, it got splintered all up. If you were employed by him, you got moved to the new place. If you were the small core group management of the entire thing, okay, maybe you're looking for a job. But on the whole, it didn't shut down most of it.
From what I understand, you can get a job making solar panels.
Yeah, that's okay. So, what is protected by the Protection of the Lawful Commerce in Arms Act is lawful use, and the company is protected if they make something and it works the way that it's supposed to work. So when you pull the trigger, bullets come out, the gun doesn't explode, the barrel doesn't twist and rotate back, and
you don't drop it and it shoots you or something.
Right,
like
and you're not like a cartoon gun where it comes around. And
they kind of explain it like the automobile industry. That if you bought a car and you're driving it down the street and something happens to it and it messes you up, then you can sue. But if you're drunk driving in the car and kill somebody, that you can't sue the car company.
Yeah, the car company is not liable or responsible
for what you're doing with it.
But what's happening is that most people do not know that the PLCAA law exists. And so because of lack of knowledge, lack of common use, if you will,
it'll make it easy for them to repeal it because no one bothers to stand up for it.
To make a voice and to stand up for it. So we want you to understand what it is and why it has value. Because if they can sue the gun manufacturer, then they can sue the car manufacturer, then they can sue the electricity manufacturer, then they can sue. And so pretty soon you can go after everything for anything, to the point where companies can't afford to be in business.
Right. And if even in the short term, if they are allowed to sue the gun companies out of business, where are you getting a gun from?
Mm-hmm. And then they'll go after
So your Second Amendment means nothing if there's nobody to sell you something.
Correct. So that makes sense. So in both gun manufacturers, it also makes sense. Let's explore that thought. Because you can have a Second Amendment and you have the right to have a gun, but if every time you look at it and your gun manufacturer, your gun dealer, you squeeze them tighter and tighter and harder to get the best deal always, are they still going to be in business next week? Are they still going to be in business the week after that? So one of the things is we got to make sure that take the care and feeding of your local gun shop, because they are the keeper to get you a new gun.
And one of the comic things on Facebook, they have a picture of Batman and Robin, and Batman is backhanding Robin in the side of the head, and he's like, Robin says, "Where can I get cheap ammo?" And he's like, "You're in the wrong business for the wrong hobby." I believe is
there is no such thing as cheap ammo right now.
Like, if you're in the wrong hobby, and he's slapping him around.
I mean, there's so many people who are saying, "I want a deal on this," or "I want a deal on ammo," or "I want a deal on a gun," and it's like, well, you either want a gun or you want a deal, but you're not.
And I had a gun shop for years, and I had people who came in and bought stuff weekly. I mean, every week they got the paycheck to come in. They bought guns, they bought bullets, they bought stuff. They would get things, bring it to me, sell me things. When they come in and they said, "Can you do any better on this?" Well, certainly. This guy is a number one customer. I can do something about it. If I've never seen you before, or I see you one time at Christmas because your wife needs a new shotgun, I'm not as likely to give you a super deal on something as I am the guy who comes in every day.
Every day. Well, and that is, you do get preferential treatment as a good customer. But a good customer, in talking gun shops, a good customer is not necessarily the guy who stands there blocking the counter just to shoot.
Right, and you don't have to. And the guy doesn't have to be there every week or something. I had guys that come in and they just bought like certain kind of a gun, but once in a while I would get those guns. I'd give them a call and say,
"You know who it is.
I just got a whole bunch of these in." They'd come up and look through, buy a couple of them, and away they go. And I could count on them. They could count on me, and it worked out really well for both of us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the other interesting thing about your local gun shop is tell them what you're looking for. That way, when they find it, you're the first person on.
Also, too, if it's really obscure and they find it, normally they won't buy it because they don't know who to sell it to. But if they know that you're already looking for one, they'll pick it up because they already have a pretty much guaranteed customer.
They pretty much think they have a buyer for it because their job is.
They got to roll over that money as much as they can,
right,
to make it work for them.
So what? How does he say that whole fast and something or other? Your local gun shop.
He rolls it over.
Something.
I don't know.
Some term that just came out this morning that was like, that's so him, if you know what I mean, him, just so him. So anyhow, look up the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. Make sure that if you are somebody who writes to your congressman, who writes to your senator, tell them that you care about the PLCAA and that you want them to protect it. And so protecting it is protecting the Second Amendment. And those two things need to go hand in hand, and they need to work together. So let's see. I've got something lined. Oh, I've got Virginia, the Virginia Citizens Defense League, I think it is. Yeah, that is going to be on next week as our guest, and they're going to be talking about how they've been Facebook maligned, how they've lost their email lists, how all kinds of people are trying to shut them up, and we want to hear their story and we want to hear from them. So we'll see who else we've got. We'll see you next week.